Hi everyone, I'm Shatabdi Mazumdar, All India Rank 80 in UPSC CSE 2019, and this has been my third attempt. My score in the ethics paper was 138 marks, and now in this discussion we'll talk briefly about GS paper 4 ethics, integrity and aptitude. Yes, this paper has been recently introduced in the UPSC in 2013, if I recall correctly, and it has been introduced with a very important and significant purpose. UPSC wants to, hire such people or such aspirants into the pool of civil servants who are ethical, who are moral, and who uphold the fundamental civil service values like honesty, like integrity, probity, and other values. Right? So, ethics is a subject which has a very good cost benefit ratio. Now, let's move forward. Now, what do I mean by cost benefit ratio when it comes to the ethics paper? It has a very high cost benefit ratio. It means that by a reasonable study, a reasonable understanding of the ethics paper, you can score very good marks in your ethics paper, right? But what happens, some aspirants make this mistake. They ignore the ethics paper too much. They find the ethics paper very easy, and so they keep the preparation part to the time between prelims and mains. Already you are aware that the time between prelims and mains is just about 80 to 90 days. Do you really think that you will be able to complete the ethics paper along with other burdensome subjects like essay, GS, optional, your compulsory paper, and all of that? So that is not possible. So my humble suggestion to all of you is that don't make this mistake of keeping the preparation of ethics to the period between pre and mains, because it is not going to be comprehensive and holistic, and you will be in a panic mode. So what you do, you prepare really well before your prelims itself. So when we say that be mains ready before your prelims itself, we mean that you have to complete all the subjects. Ethics is not an exception. Don't think that ethics is easy and so you can keep it between pre and mains. No. All right. So do your reading part, do your revision part, your answer writing part, your case study practice part, and your mock tests part, everything before your prelims. So that between your prelims and mains, you can do 2 to 3 quick revision of your ethics and write some tests and wind up your preparation properly. Now, moving forward, what this discussion will look like. This is not going to be a very heavy discussion. This will only introduce you to some of the concepts. This is an introductory lecture. Okay. We will introduce you to some fundamental concepts of the GS paper 4. Things like what is emotional intelligence, what is ethics, how is ethics different from morals, what is attitude, what is aptitude, and other some of the basic concepts along with their examples. So it is a lightweight discussion. It will only give you a broad outline of how the paper will be, and I will also highlight to you what mistakes you should refrain from. I'll share my own strategies and experiences, and I'll tell you how to approach some of the questions also. So let's see how we'll plan out this lecture. First of all, we'll discuss why we need ethics, why we need ethics as a subject in this particular UPSC syllabus, why we need ethics in our professional life. We are all aspiring to be civil servants, and why ethics is a very major component in our professional life. Is that all? No. Professional life is, yes, very important, but there is also a very big significance of ethics in your personal life also, because your professional life is not very detached from your personal life, and so ethics has to be an integral component of your professional as well as personal life. And from the point of view of UPSC, why do we need ethics? Now, UPSC has incorporated ethics for assessing the candidates whether they are suitable to become civil servants. They want to assess whether the fundamental and core values for civil servants are present in the candidates or not. You must have heard about honesty, integrity, probity, and all of that. So they want to assess whether these things are present in the aspirants or not. Right. Next, we'll move on to the introduction of the syllabus. So we'll tell you how we are planning the lectures in a coherent manner, how we'll plan out what will be the layout and outline of each of the syllabus pointers, and what we are going to deliver to you in each of our sessions. All right. Next is ethics and morality. Like I said, we'll introduce you to some basic concepts. What is ethics in very plain and simple language? What is morality? How the two are different? What can be the examples of ethics in day-to-day life? What is morality in day-to-day life? And so on. So moving forward, answering this very, very significant question, why ethics? So as aspirants, we are aspiring for what? For becoming civil servants. And as civil servants, it is very, very important to be ethical, not only in our professional life, but also in our personal life, right? So is it okay to be ethical only in our professional life? What do you mean by being ethical in the professional life? By being ethical in your professional life, you will practice what you are preaching. You will uphold the civil service values like honesty, integrity, probity, and other values. You will refrain from doing corruption, and you will use the public resources for their welfare and development. So these are some of the examples of being ethical in professional life, but that is not enough. You also have to be ethical in your personal life. What do you mean by being ethical in your personal life? Things like loyalty, commitment in the relationship, and being beautiful, being a responsible parent, all of these come under being ethical in your personal life. So that is from the point of view of the aspirants. What about UPSC? Why this subject had been introduced into the curriculum of UPSC? What do you think? Now, very easily, the first and foremost thing is they are hiring for civil service, for public service. So they would definitely want to see some core values, some fundamental values in the people they want to make the civil servants, right? So they would want to see values like what? Integrity, probity, objectivity, anonymity, neutrality, compassion, and all of these values, right? That is point number one. Second thing is to assess whether a person is ethical or not. This we are discussing in the context of UPSC from their point of view, right? So if they have to assess whether a person is ethical or not, what can be the way? The way is you confine the candidates to a particular time limit of 3 hours and you give them questions. If they are not ethical, it will reflect in the paper. Why? Because you are constrained by time. In 3 hours time, you have to attempt 6 case studies and 13 questions. That's a tough task. From my own experience, I'm saying that it is very, very difficult to complete the ethics paper on time. So that is how they want to restrict your time and see how you behave in case of some questions. They put you in different situations, different contexts, and they want to know how you behave in those situations. So if you are unethical deep down, it will show on the answer paper. You will not be able to manipulate and fake because the time is really short. You will not be able to fake in the paper. You will not be able to remain consistent and ethical in the paper if you are not really and genuinely ethical, right? So this is how they have created a module. They have created this ethics, aptitude, and integrity as a paper so that they can figure out if the candidates are ethical or not, if they are at all suitable for civil service or not. So we'll move forward. See, this thing, the presence of ethical components in your actions and decision making is what will make you successful and happy and good, not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life. Otherwise, what will happen? Suppose you are disloyal to your partner in your personal life, right? All the time you will be worried. You will not be at peace, right? So, for instance, take your personal life. If you're not ethical in your personal life, if you are disloyal, that will keep you worried all the time. You will not have peace of mind. So, this will impact your personal space and you will be at moral dissonance all the time. You will be under fear that what if my partner comes to know that I am not loyal to my partner. So, this is how, if you are ethical in your personal life as well as professional life, you will be a happy person, you will be a successful person, and you will be a good person. Similarly, take the example of professional life. Corruption can be one example. Suppose you are the administrator and there is a lot of political pressure on you. Suppose in a particular area there is a lot of illegal sand mining going on, and the political leaders, they call you up and they direct you to have a blind eye towards these illegal things that are going on. So what will you do? If you come under this pressure, if you obey these directions from the political leaders and indulge into such kind of corruption, you will be at a moral dissonance, right? Again, from moral dissonance, what will lead to is a conflict in your mind, no peace at all the time worried and fearful that someone might expose this corruption in the social media and you will be defamed. At times, what happens is, as administrators, we engage into corruption and we try to hide these things from our family members. So, this is adding one more layer of conflict and moral dissonance in our mind, right? If we are succumbing to the pressure from the political leaders and we are taking huge loads of money from the political leaders and turning a blind eye to such illegal things, and at the same time we are not sharing these things with our family members, it will keep us really in a conflict state. It will leave us in moral dissonance. Right. So, moving forward, this is a beautiful quote: education without good character is a body without head. So, this is the difference between literacy and education. Is it okay to be just literate? What is the meaning of education? Education in real sense means education that has got values, education that has incorporated core and fundamental values into an individual. Things like honesty, truthfulness, loyalty, integrity, and so on, right? So, when these values are present in an individual, only then that person is complete, that person is comprehensive and holistic and rational at the same time. If a person, he or she, may be scoring really good marks in some papers or very excellently doing in the academic area, but that same person is actually channelizing his or her intellect into all the bad things. That person might be a drug addict, that person may be a terrorist, that person may be having a very radical line of thought. So, what is the use of such a thing? Right. So, education should actually focus not only on the academic part, not only on the knowledge gathering and fact gathering part, but it should also be value based. So, education without good character means that education should not only be confined to knowledge, information, and facts. All these are necessary but not sufficient for calling it a complete education. This has to be added with moral values like these. So, moral values like honesty, truthfulness, loyalty, integrity plus knowledge, information, facts. This complete package will be a holistic, comprehensive, and value based education. Only being literate, only focusing on this part, knowledge, information, and facts, will not suffice. So, they are giving a very good analogy that if only this thing is present, if only knowledge, information, and facts are present, then it is like a body without a head. It is not incorporating the moral aspects. So, what you will do? The result will be something like terrorism, bomb blasts, drug addiction. But if this plus this, both these components are there, the moral education part and the gathering of knowledge, facts, and everything, if you combine these two, the outcome will be really, really good and holistic, ethical. It will be something like, the outcome will be something like Dr. Kalam. The outcome will be something like Mother Teresa, right? So that is about it. We'll move forward. Attitude, values and principles, and character. So we'll move one by one. Sense of right and wrong. An ethical person, a moral person will have the sense of right and wrong. He or she will be able to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. He or she understands that cutting trees will be harmful for the environment. But on the other hand, if you talk about terrorists, such a person does not distinguish between right and wrong. For a terrorist, claiming innocent lives is right. There is nothing unethical about claiming lives through bomb blasts. So this is the major component what that makes the individual complete. Next component is attitude. What is attitude? It's a positive inclination or a negative inclination towards a person or a thing. For example, talk about Dr. Kalam. We all have a positive attitude towards Dr. Kalam. One more example, you must have heard about Armstrong Pame, who is known for the People's Road. He is an IAS officer in the Northeast. What he did is, when he became the district collector, he wanted to construct a road. His village was not having proper connectivity with other places. So he wanted funds, but unfortunately, he did not have adequate funds for this road construction. What he did is, he tried to innovate something. He tried to do crowdfunding. He appealed on multiple social media channels, seeking help from not only Indians but also people outside. He contributed himself, whatever savings and all he had, his family members had. He pooled everything into a common pool and he created a fund and underwent this construction of People's Road. It's a 100-kilometer long road which connected his village to other important places. So he is known for this People's Road. So we all have a positive attitude towards Armstrong Pame. Otherwise, taking simple example, we usually have a positive attitude towards people who are compassionate, who are honest and truthful in life, right? Next comes values and principles. So can you tell me a few civil service values or core values that are fundamental for every civil servant? They are objectivity, honesty, integrity, anonymity, and so on. For you as an aspirant, what are the values? You value civil service more than a private job, right? Clear? So as an aspirant, you want to become a civil servant. You don't worry about the monetary aspect. You are not at all bothered about how much salary you are getting. For you, civil service is dominant. Civil service is most important. You don't care even if you are not getting a very big amount of salary, right? For example, take a capitalist, take any businessman. For that person, what are values and principles? For a businessman, principles and values would be profit making, risk taking, and things like that. So these are the values, these are the things, these are the standards that you have to keep in mind while taking a decision, while acting upon something. So these are values and principles. Next is character. Take the example of Swami Vivekananda, a very strong character known for his spirituality and liberalism, right? So you need to have a strong character. You need to have a moral character. You need to be liberal. You need to be logical and rational in your approach. So these are some of the parameters. We'll deep dive further into some of these aspects in the coming lectures. So as of now, we have to understand this thing, that what makes a person or an individual complete. So these are the 4 parameters. An individual should be able to distinguish between right and wrong. In other words, an individual have to be ethical and moral in professional and personal life. Second is attitude. Attitude means the favorable or unfavorable inclination towards any person or thing. Third is values and principles. As an individual, you have to uphold certain values and principles before you act or before you make a decision. As a civil servant, values and principles should be to uphold objectivity, neutrality, anonymity, honesty, integrity, among other important values. And fourth part is character. So, as an individual, as a moral agent, as a civil servant, you should have a strong ethical and moral character, and you should be logical and rational in your approach. You must not be very rigid, and you have to have a liberal thought process.